Have you ever been jolted awake in the middle of the night by a sharp, painful cramp in your leg? That kind of cramp that grips your calf like a vice, twisting the muscle so tightly that you almost want to scream? If you're a senior, chances are this is more familiar than you'd like to admit. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, you've probably heard friends or family complain about it, maybe even joke about how they had to hop out of bed in the dark, limping around the room just to loosen up the spasm. But here's the thing, it's no joke. For many older adults, leg cramps and muscle stiffness aren't just a nuisance. They steal sleep, reduce mobility, and chip away at the confidence to move freely without fear of pain striking at any moment. Now, imagine for a second if I told you that something as simple as what you put on your plate could be the key to keeping those painful cramps away. Imagine waking up in the morning without stiffness, without soreness, and without those sudden stabbing spasms in your calves. That's exactly what we're diving into today. Because yes, your food choices have more power than you realize. And when it comes to preventing cramps, strengthening muscles, and protecting mobility as you age, there are 3 foods that stand out as absolute game changers. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to use them, how much you need, and why they work like magic inside your body. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're joining us from today. Drop a quick comment below. Tell me your city, your country, or even just say hi. I always enjoy seeing the community we've built here and answering your questions. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we share life-changing health tips every week, and I don't want you missing a single one. So, let's start with the first food. If I asked you to think of a simple, everyday food that almost everyone has in their fridge, something easy to cook, quick to prepare, and packed with nutrition, what comes to mind? For me, it's the humble egg. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Eggs, really? How can something so basic make such a difference? But the truth is, eggs are like little nutritional powerhouses. And when it comes to muscle health and cramp prevention, they deserve way more credit than they usually get. Here's the thing. One of the biggest reasons seniors experience cramps is muscle fatigue. As we age, we lose muscle mass, a process called sarcopenia. It doesn't happen overnight, but little by little, the fibers that keep us strong and steady start to shrink. And when your muscles are weaker, they tire out more easily. Tired muscles are cramp-prone muscles. This is where eggs shine. Each egg contains about 6 grams of high-quality protein, and not just any protein. It's what we call a complete protein, meaning it has all 9 essential amino acids, the building blocks your muscles desperately need for repair and recovery. Think of it like this. Every time your muscles cramp, tiny fibers inside them are screaming for help, for repair, for fuel. Eggs provide that exact fuel, helping to rebuild those fibers and keeping them strong enough to handle everyday stress without locking up. But it doesn't stop there. Eggs also contain something that's absolutely critical for seniors, vitamin D. Now, vitamin D is one of those nutrients that doesn't get enough spotlight, but it's the hidden key to calcium absorption and muscle function. Without vitamin D, calcium doesn't get absorbed properly, and without calcium, your muscles can't contract or relax efficiently. That's when you start to feel weakness, spasms, and even chronic pain. And here's the kicker. Seniors are often deficient in vitamin D. Why? Because as we get older, we spend less time outside. Our skin doesn't produce vitamin D as efficiently, and our diets rarely make up the difference. Egg yolks, however, naturally contain vitamin D. It may not be enough to cover your full daily needs. You'd have to eat a whole carton every day to reach the recommended 800 to 1,000 IU, but they make a fantastic contribution. Paired with fortified dairy products or fatty fish like salmon and sardines, eggs can help keep vitamin D levels stable, supporting both muscle and bone health, and reducing the risk of those painful nighttime cramps. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that pins and needles sensation in your legs? Or maybe tingling and burning that you can't quite explain? Sometimes cramps aren't just about muscles, they're about nerves. And this is where another nutrient in eggs comes into play, vitamin B12. Low B12 levels are surprisingly common in older adults. Why? Because as we age, our stomachs produce less acid, which makes it harder to absorb B12 from food. On top of that, medications like metformin for diabetes or proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux can drain your B12 reserves. When your B12 levels drop, your nerve signals get scrambled. Muscles don't get the right instructions from the brain, and instead of smooth contractions and relaxations, you get misfired signals, leading to cramps, spasms, and that uncomfortable tingling. Eggs are one of the best, easiest to digest sources of B12. By including them in your diet, you're not just feeding your muscles, you're protecting the nerves that control those muscles. Now, people often ask me, but what about cholesterol? Isn't eating eggs dangerous for the heart? And that's a fair question. For years, eggs got a bad reputation, but research today is much clearer. For most healthy seniors, eating 6 to 7 eggs per week is perfectly safe and doesn't significantly affect cholesterol levels. In fact, replacing processed meats like sausages or bacon with eggs can actually be a heart-healthier choice. Of course, if you have specific conditions like high cholesterol or kidney disease, it's smart to consult your doctor, but for the vast majority of older adults, eggs are not the enemy, they're the ally. Now imagine this. You start your morning with a couple of scrambled eggs, maybe paired with some leafy greens and whole grain toast. Or maybe you add a boiled egg to your salad for lunch. Little by little, those nutrients start to add up. Protein is repairing your muscle fibers. Vitamin D is helping your calcium do its job. B12 keeps your nerves sharp and your signals smooth. Over time, you notice you're not jolted awake at night as often. Your legs don't feel like heavy chains when you climb out of bed. That's the quiet power of eggs at work. But of course, eggs aren't the only superfood in this story. Let's move on to the second hero, and this one's a little sweeter. Picture this. You're rushing out the door, maybe late for an appointment, and you grab a quick snack. What's easy, portable, requires no preparation, and is packed with one of the most important minerals for muscle health, a banana. Now, bananas are more than just a fruit you toss into a smoothie. They're one of the richest, most convenient sources of potassium. And if there's one mineral you absolutely cannot ignore when it comes to cramps, it's potassium. Here's why. Every single time your muscle contracts, whether you're walking, climbing stairs, or even just flexing your toes, there's an electrical signal firing between your nerves and your muscle fibers. Potassium is the mineral that makes sure that signal gets through smoothly. Without enough potassium, the wires get crossed. Muscles become overly excitable, firing when they shouldn't, and contracting without warning. And what do you get? A sudden painful cramp. Seniors, unfortunately, are more prone to potassium deficiencies. It could be because of medications, like diuretics used for blood pressure, which flush potassium out of the body. It could be due to reduced appetite or poor hydration, or just not eating enough potassium-rich foods. That's why adding something as simple as 1 banana a day can make such a dramatic difference. Each medium banana gives you about 420 milligrams of potassium, around 12% of your daily needs. And what if you eat 2 bananas a day? You're covering nearly a quarter of your requirement, helping your muscles stay calm, steady, and cramp-free. But bananas aren't just about potassium. They also contain magnesium, another muscle hero. Magnesium acts as the relaxation mineral. It keeps your muscles from becoming too excitable, calming them down when they're twitching or tensing up. Think of potassium as the accelerator and magnesium as the brake. You need both to keep your muscular engine running smoothly. Each banana has around 32 milligrams of magnesium, not a huge amount. But when paired with other magnesium-rich foods, it adds up and helps create the perfect balance between contraction and relaxation. And let's not forget vitamin B6. Each banana provides about 30% of your daily needs. Vitamin B6 supports neurotransmitters, the chemical messengers that carry signals between your brain and muscles. It also reduces inflammation, improves red blood cell production, and makes sure your muscles are getting the oxygen they need to recover. Research even shows that low B6 levels are linked with more frequent cramping in seniors, so adding bananas to your routine is like a triple win: potassium for balance, magnesium for relaxation, and B6 for nerve function. One of the best tricks I've seen is eating a banana about an hour or two before bedtime. Why? Because nighttime cramps are often linked to low electrolytes, poor circulation, and dehydration. A banana helps restore potassium and magnesium, provides natural sugars and water, and even helps relax your muscles before sleep. Pair it with a glass of water or coconut water, and you're giving your body exactly what it needs to stay calm overnight. Of course, we have to be realistic. Bananas are high in natural sugars, so for seniors with diabetes, it's important to eat them in moderation and pair them with fiber or protein, like nuts, yogurt, or whole grains, to prevent blood sugar spikes. But for most older adults, one banana a day is a safe, delicious, and highly effective way to keep cramps at bay. Speaking of nuts, that brings us to the third and final superfood on our list: nuts and seeds. Now, if eggs are the repair kit and bananas are the signal booster, nuts and seeds are like the maintenance crew that keeps everything running smoothly. They're small, they're crunchy, and they're absolutely packed with the nutrients seniors need to stop cramps before they start. Let's break it down. One of the most common deficiencies linked to leg cramps is magnesium. We've already talked about how bananas help, but nuts and seeds take it to the next level. A single ounce of pumpkin seeds gives you 168 milligrams of magnesium. That's nearly 40% of your daily needs in one small handful. Almonds and cashews are also excellent, with about 20% per ounce. And magnesium, as we said earlier, is the ultimate relaxation mineral. Without it, your muscles stay tense, twitchy, and prone to cramping. With it, they relax, recover, and flow. But magnesium isn't the only trick up their sleeve. Nuts and seeds are also good sources of potassium. Pistachios, for example, have nearly 300 milligrams per ounce. On top of that, they provide protein for muscle repair, just like eggs, and healthy fats that reduce inflammation and improve circulation. Poor circulation is another major reason seniors experience cramps, especially at night. When blood flow slows down, your muscles aren't getting enough oxygen, and that can trigger painful spasms. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in walnuts and flax seeds, help keep blood flowing freely, reducing inflammation and ensuring your muscles are always nourished. And here's something most people don't realize. Inflammation itself can trigger cramps. Chronic low-grade inflammation, common in older adults, damages muscle tissue, making it more vulnerable to fatigue and spasm. Nuts and seeds are rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that calm this hidden fire, supporting long-term muscle health and reducing cramp frequency. So how much do you actually need? A simple handful a day, about an ounce, is enough. That could be 20 almonds, a small mix of cashews and pistachios, or 2 tablespoons of seeds sprinkled on your salad, yogurt, or oatmeal. The key is consistency. Too many nuts can add excess calories, so portion control matters, but eaten in moderation, they're a perfect daily defense against cramps. Imagine this routine. You start your day with a breakfast of scrambled eggs, maybe a slice of whole grain toast, and some sautéed spinach. Mid-morning, you grab a banana as a quick snack. Later in the afternoon, you reach for a handful of almonds or pumpkin seeds instead of chips or cookies. Day after day, you're layering your body with protein, potassium, magnesium, B vitamins, healthy fats, and antioxidants. Slowly, you notice the difference. Nights become more restful. Your legs feel lighter when you wake up. You move with more confidence, without that lingering fear of cramps striking out of nowhere. That's the power of nutrition. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need miracle powders. Nature has already given us the tools we need: eggs, bananas, nuts, and seeds. 3 simple foods, available almost everywhere, that together create a shield against cramps, stiffness, and weakness. Of course, no single food works in isolation. To maximize results, you'll want to stay hydrated. 6 to 8 glasses of water a day is a must. You'll want to balance electrolytes, which means not just potassium and magnesium, but also sodium and calcium from other healthy sources. And you'll want to keep moving, because muscles that move, recover, and stay active are less likely to seize up. So, the next time you feel that familiar twinge in your calf, or you're woken up by a cramp that leaves you rubbing your leg in the dark, remember this: your diet holds the answer. Eggs to repair and fuel, bananas to balance and signal, nuts and seeds to relax, circulate, and protect. Small changes, powerful results. If you found this video helpful, please take a second to hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people who need this information. Drop a comment below and let us know. Have you tried using any of these foods to fight cramps? What's worked for you? And of course, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly health tips. Stay informed, stay healthy, and remember, sometimes the simplest foods can make the biggest difference. I'll see you in the next video.